if the biggest challenges in your business weren't obstacles but invitations to grow, to adapt, and to redefine success on your own terms. Welcome to Beyond the Quo. I'm Stacey Luces, and this is the podcast where we're going to dig deep into stories of reinvention, and you know what that means, courageous leadership, and breaking free from outdated definitions of success. I'm a passionate advocate for high-achieving leaders who are ready to live and lead more authentically. I'm really excited today. I'm joined by Michael Piccoli. Hello, Michael.
Hello.
Welcome. And today we're going to be talking about something all entrepreneurs and leaders face at some point, which is how to navigate uncertainty, how to build a resilient business, and how to shift when the ground beneath you seems to be constantly moving. I think all entrepreneurs know what that means, right? But we'll see. My guest, Michael, knows this better than most. He is a serial entrepreneur, digital marketing strategist, and business leader who has built, acquired, and grown multiple companies, including the powerhouse agency On Target Digital Marketing. He has spent over 20 years helping businesses pivot, win, and thrive through industry shifts, economic downturns, and the ever-changing landscape of digital marketing. Beyond the numbers and the headlines, Michael is a true believer in leading with integrity, love that, navigating tough times with resilience, and understanding that success isn't just about revenue. It's about impact, relationships, and staying in the game even when things get tough. So if you found yourself wondering, how do I push through uncertainty in my business? How do I pivot when things aren't working, whether that's personally and professionally? And how do I redefine success when old metrics just don't fit anymore, especially for those of us, him and I were talking earlier about midlife. This episode is for you. Michael, welcome.
Thank you.
It's very, very good
me.
to have you. I love that.
I'm excited.
Yay. So before I started, I told him I'm a little bit of a nerd and I like a little bit of statistics. So some I want to share is, so 77% of CEOs say critical thinking and problem solving will be the most valuable skills for leaders by 2030. I argue that we already need that, right? For example, Netflix's pivot from DVDs to streaming wasn't a gut decision. It was backed by data on consumer trends. Another really cool tidbit on resiliency is research shows that companies with strong, adaptable cultures outperform competitors by 22% in profitability. That's no tiny shift, right? And so resilient leaders don't just survive, they thrive, and they kind of adapt. Which one of those strategies, and you can say all of them, but which one of those, whether it's resiliency or adaptability or pivoting, have you used the most and honed over the last couple of years?
Wow. I've actually used all of them.
Sure.
I think that's probably why I am where I am today. So first of all, resiliency is something you need as an entrepreneur. Every day, there's a quote, stick to the plan, not your mood. My friend Dan
Sure.
Nathanson actually has it on his phone.
Yeah.
And it's the truth. Like, when you don't want to do things, that's when you have to get up and do it. And that's the resiliency in business and the journey of an entrepreneur. Adaptability. I mean, listen, the world is changing rapidly.
Yeah, every day, right, these days, right?
Rapidly, especially in my industry with technology and AI. So you have to be able to adapt and change things. And then one of the things you mentioned was culture. We're very big on culture with the company. I can't scale and grow if my team isn't on board with things.
Sure.
And that's been very helpful for us. We try to really make a great work culture environment so that we can continue to grow.
Yeah, we had I went to a women's leadership, it wasn't actually a networking thing. It was more like a brainstorming thing where we all sat together and we were talking about the different types of leadership, authoritative, servant leader, all of those things, right? The high EQ, emotional intelligence leaders and all of that stuff. And the one thing that we all agreed on was that culture eats strategy for breakfast. We've heard that.
Yes.
Old Peter Drucker quote. Let's talk about that for a little bit, right? I know I've met some of your employees and they're all sort of the same. They're very, not the same in a bad way, but you could tell that I think it's very important to hire for fit because competency, you can upskill people, but fit.
Fit is everything.
Yeah.
People, when we're hiring someone, the resume is not important to me.
Sure.
Do they fit the culture of our company?
Yeah.
How are they going to interact with the other employees? How are they going to interact with the clients? And I'll go even further now. We've done a big shift over the years where we actually look for fit in clients as well. So fit
I'm
is
hearing more and more of that.
fit is everything at this point for us. You know, they say it, one bad apple can ruin, and it's the truth. So our biggest thing when we're looking for team and talent is, do they fit the culture?
Yeah.
And those kind of things.
Yeah, I'll give you a confession. When I was in college, so my background is marketing and international business. And I lived in Maryland at the time. I went to University of Maryland, and I interviewed with
Terrapins.
Southwest Airlines, Nissan Marketing. They were actually based in LA, and they were unveiling the is it 35? Whatever that very sporty car was,
Yep.
Right? 2 decades. Oh my God, I'm aging myself, but whatever. And I got through all of the final interviews, and I notionally really wanted to work for Southwest and their corporate team. Like, they had such a cool vibe and like blah, blah, blah. And they didn't hire me. And the guy came down,
Their
the lead
loss.
guy, right? But in hindsight, it was brilliant because I am not that perky all the time.
You're not?
Do you know what I mean?
I find that hard to
Oh
believe.
my God. No, I can be intense sometimes. And in hindsight, I was crushed, right? I was like, oh my God, like I'd never been rejected like that at a final interview. And so I walked away, and I was like, in my tiny little, early 20s self, like in my feelings about it. But in hindsight, I would have floundered because they really hire for culture.
Yeah.
And everybody's kind of very extroverted. I'm like one line over the extroversion, right? I'm introverted and one line. So I hear you.
I'm the same way.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I get by, but
Yeah.
it's hard. It's hard.
But back just one more thing, back to fit. I went to a conference of, I don't know, probably 8 years ago. It was Title Boxing. They're a franchise gym, and they had a speaker, and they were talking about hiring.
Yeah.
And he said, you can't teach passion.
I love that.
And it's the truth.
I
You
love
can't
that.
teach passion.
Yeah.
So fit is in my opinion, the most important thing.
I'm going to give 3 strategies that I teach, and I want you to add your own. So one is, when you are dealing with challenges, the mindset shift, of course, is how do you can lean into the suck, of course, have your emotions and feelings about it, especially if it's a loss, but don't stay there. It's how quickly can we get out of the ditch and get back on the horse and start going, right? And so a couple of things we teach is mindset shift. Instead of seeing challenges as roadblocks, view them as a chance to innovate. Strengthen decision-making with data, not emotion. To your point, what was that quote?
You can't teach passion?
No, the one with mood.
Oh, stick to the plan, not your mood.
Build a resilient team and culture, which we talked about. Diversify revenue streams to increase stability. Let's go back to that one because I love that. This is one I teach a lot because my background is emergency management. I worked at Homeland Security, DoD, FEMA, all of those things. How to create a crisis-ready business model. One of the things I did Tony Robbins' Business Mastery a couple of years ago, and he taught us that winter was coming.
Great quote.
Right? Winter is coming, right? Game of Thrones lovers.
Yes.
And how do you always stay in a winter prepped mindset? Because you can't wait till winter's here to put away the crops, like do whatever you need to do, right? And leveraging your network and mentorship. So I want us to kind of focus on 2, because how we met is through mutual friends, right?
Yes.
Who were originally colleagues, who originally we did business with, who originally we went to like the Chamber of Commerce and like blah, 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 sat and broke bread with, and then that's how we met. But let's kind of focus here on revenue streams to increase stability, right? 42% of startups fail due to lack of market demand, and having multiple streams not only strengthens your ability to bounce back from a big loss or a big client if your dependency is on one client. How do you do that with what you do? First, tell us what you do and kind of how this works for you.
So we're a full service digital marketing agency. We start with, logo design, website design, and development. And then we move into the marketing, such as search engine optimization, Google AdWords, social media management, social media advertising, email marketing. And we really just kind of get brands out there to grow. But, one of the things that so we're on target celebrating 20 years this year. Yes, thank
Congratulations.
you. I've only owned it for 5.
Yeah.
But my first agency, we're celebrating 10 years. So for the past 10 years, our model has been recurring retainer revenue.
Yeah.
So monthly clients, that mold. However, the project work really helps, right? It helps the small business or the medium-sized business with, cash flow, all those different things. So, not having just one service, but offering many different services is key for us. The other thing we used to be heavy in was automotive, car dealers.
Yeah.
We have pivoted over the years, and now we are more just main small and medium businesses. So, we have clients in education, manufacturing, technology, healthcare. And I think that's another great way because you're not just pinned to one industry. So during COVID, if all I was doing was hospitality, I'd have problems.
Sure.
I'd have problems. So
Or
I
event
think,
management.
yeah. So I think having multiple services and then having a diverse clientele is important.
Let's talk to the people right now that are feeling uncertain, that are feeling like I am a business owner that is feeling uncertain, right? And so why? Most of my clients, me being a former federal employee, having left 2 years ago to pursue my own dreams, thank God I did, right? Because look at what's happening with the multiple rounds of layoffs and stuff. But my core clientele are federal executives who are scaling back right now because they are uncertain. Hey, I don't know if I'll have a job next month. Maybe I need to tighten my wallet. Or people that are in midstream coaching are still also, we're having to pivot the way that I'm coaching them. And it's more about that crisis management, that resiliency. That's, all right, let's pivot into, if this happened, what's your plan? And even for me, I've started thinking, okay, my bread and butter, if you will, are female clients. Because women tend to kind of spend more on executive coaching, leadership coaching, and so forth. But there are so many men I talk to that are like, oh my God, do you? And I do, but it's usually I wait for them to come to me.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And so now I'm thinking, how do I create a model where I maybe develop a program for men and really expand that a little bit, or do more group coaching? So I myself am going through this space of uncertainty, but also using micro shifts, right? Because I think people think that if a big thing happens, whether it's the economy or tariffs or whatever, for me to do something different, I've got to start from scratch. And I love what you just said about, moving away from automotive to kind of just varying industries. What are like maybe 3 things people can consider to diversify industry? Because yes, some things will be very niche and very deep, and that is your core competency. But for the, regular people just trying to like run their businesses, what are some tips that you have to ease the fear of failure around that pivot?
Yeah. So, well, first off, we talked about it in the beginning, resiliency.
Yes.
Entrepreneurship is extremely difficult. Like you said,
No.
I don't know what what was the statistic? Who
so
fails?
It's 50% fail within 5 years, and I think
Correct.
80% in 2 years.
Okay.
It's abysmal.
It's tough.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is because they don't have the support that you give your clients as a coach, and they don't understand the journey and don't have that resilience when things get difficult.
Mindset.
It's all mindset.
Yeah.
So listen, the past few years, the economy, for between inflation and right after COVID, it's been challenging and even for me, for businesses, they didn't want to invest so much into marketing, and you have to be resilient and keep going. So I think the first tip I would give,
Sure.
and it doesn't really help diversify them, but it's really just stick to the plan, right? Like no matter, things are always going to happen. Tough economy. I mean, we dealt with a pandemic.
Yeah.
Every few years, something's going to change. Now, even with technology, unfortunately, it's going to change.
They say every 7 years, there's a massive macro shift.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, you have to realize what you're doing. You started this business, right? Don't throw in the towel. But what you said, what can you do differently to keep moving? Be adaptive. So, for the first thing I would say is, because I love technology, how can you leverage technology?
I love that.
To potentially make your life easier.
I'm the genre that says tech is hard, and I hire out.
Yeah, listen, I'm not disagreeing with you.
That said, I've learned to push through and shove through, because sometimes when I hire someone, I don't actually know what the heck I need, because I'm not fiddling around in the back end of my funnel or anything. And I don't know if I want A or B testing or whatever.
Yeah.
So me, with my hair in a messy bun and fifth cup of coffee, sludging through it, helps me actually be a better leader and client for them. So shove through, right?
Yeah, and even with, let it be your friend. If you can, or let it be your assistant, right?
Yeah.
If it can shave, if it can shave an hour or two off of your, workload. Let's just say an hour a day. Where can you put that hour?
That 5 hours a week.
Yeah,
I mean, that's magic.
Now you're strategically planning on how you can elevate the company, or like we said, pivot in a different direction. You're not just in the minutia.
Yeah.
The second thing I would say is find, and I don't know the correct terminology, but find entrepreneurs to have conversations with.
Your tribe.
Your tribe. Yeah. Find people, because even successful people have failed. Like there's all these memes and motivational things on Instagram where Michael Jordan missed thousands of shots.
10,000 shots.
Yeah, 10,000 shots, right? Cut from his junior high basketball team or high school team, whatever it was. Most people have failed. I mean, there's that picture of Bezos in his garage. This is how it started, right? So I think, what's big for me is I speak, and I'm fortunate, I speak to a lot of business owners every day. And, you're not alone in this.
Yeah. And we all feel it. We all feel these things. They're universal human emotions, but navigating it thoughtfully and vulnerably. Because I think sometimes maybe we don't want to assume, like, it appears everybody is succeeding, and we're like, oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
And you have that little bit of, do I even belong in this room?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think another mistake I've made in the past is I've confided in employees. And
that is so powerful. Not do that.
I have a great team. I have great employees, and I'm talking even in the past.
Yes.
But there's a different mindset that the business owner has than the employee has. The sleepless nights, the cash flow problems, you've done the studies, there's the journey of the entrepreneur.
Sure.
It's on your entrepreneurs think about their business 24/7.
We left a 9 to 5 to come for the 24/7.
Exactly. And it's nice to hear other people talk about that and know you're not in it alone. So I found great success, and I like talking to people that are just starting, people who are struggling, people who are successful. I've been very fortunate. I've had great mentors in my life, successful mentors that have guided me. And then I've learned a lot from people through mistakes that they've made.
And I think people forget. And so Evolution Executive Coaching is my second business. I think we talked about this. So Michael is always impeccably dressed, y'all. And I just found out he has a stylist. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But my first business was personal styling and branding about 8 or 9 years ago. And same thing, like interacting with hundreds of leaders in different capacities, right? And people just in general. And I think that we forget that it's not really failure. It's just 100% evidence that you've actually succeeded, because you're still here, you're still showing up. And I try to teach my kids that there's no one solution for anything. There are a couple options. Now, each option may have a different probability of success, right? And may need different levels of resources. But I'm trying to teach them, let me caveat that, I live my day in 90-day sprints.
Okay.
And I think that if you have you overestimate what you can get done in a year, and you underestimate what you can get done in 5 or 10 years. And so in this period of pivot and uncertainty, if you have a 10-year or a 5-year plan that you've anchored in with your brand and your core values, and you have the right team in place, and the current has changed, you can still row the boat with the things that you have. And I think me having 90-day sprints is really helpful, because there are a couple of things you can think about. You can think about, okay, what are my priorities for the next 90 days? What do I need? What resources do I need? And that comes in 2 ways. It's what do I already have? Because if you want to lose 10 pounds, you have the sidewalk.
Yeah.
If you have a dog or you have a neighbor that wants to do the same thing, right? So, and then the other part of what do I need? So what resources do I already have? What resources do I not have? And then you kind of can do a couple of things. You can procure it, buy it. You can barter. Maybe you do websites and I do branding, right? Whatever. So if you don't ask the questions, you will never know the answer. And then the other thing I do is, what are the blind spots to my plan for the next 90 days? And when I say blind spots, the best mentor I had, shout out to Carla. She was in the Air Force many years ago. I still talk about her very often.
Go Carla.
Yeah. She gave me a performance review one year, and it was excellent. But she had she had one comment, Michael, that really struck me.
Okay.
And I didn't understand it because I didn't know like military lingo. She said, you have to hone the ability to look around corners. And she's like, whenever you were giving an executive briefing or whenever you were talking to leaders or you were making a decision, what am I missing? Because if you can address that up front, the whole conversation goes differently. And I've used it for years.
Wow.
And some people call it the elephant in the room, whatever. Whatever the unspoken thing is around the corner that people aren't thinking about, but it can be a showstopper, bring that forth and work it immediately.
That's great advice.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what's your version of, so for me, it's having a 5 or 10 year plan. Every year I do 90-day quarterly sprints. I adjust quickly. It keeps me nimble. It lessens the load of distraction, and I actually can absorb my wins easier in 90 days than an annual review. Like, who the heck? I don't remember what I did in January, right?
Yep.
But what are kind of some of the things, both for your clients and both for yourself, that you've seen work when it comes to staying the course with your plan for your business and your life when the current is changing?
Yeah. So first off, I'd say back to the problems. I'm a firm believer there's a solution to every problem. It goes back to resilience. Do you have the resilience to fight for it and figure out what that solution is? So many people face a problem and unfortunately I got this problem and I don't know how to.
Wave the white flag.
Yeah, wave the white flag.
Right.
I don't believe in that. You can ask our good friend, Mr. Nathanson. Like I will find a solution to any problem if there is there.
That's our generation, though.
Some people.
You're right. You're right.
But yeah. So I think in regards to what I've seen work, so the first thing is for clients, collaboration is key.
Sure.
I can't stress this enough to clients who are hiring marketing companies or marketing companies looking at how to help their clients better. It's two parties. If they're not working together, it's a problem.
Yes.
I've had clients where, they don't show up to 3 meetings. We do a monthly meeting. And then the 4th meeting, they come in and say, oh my God, we're not getting any leads or whatever the case is. And we're looking at the ads and saying, well, we see 60, 70, 80 leads. What's going on with them?
Yeah.
We had one client that had 110 voicemails on his phone. Nobody checked the phone. So, but again, that's not being collaborative. They think, okay, we're paying you. Same thing as coaching, right? Like you can't, the person has to do the work, right? So there has to be collaboration to be successful. And then, our biggest thing is communication and systems. We have reporting systems. We have a monthly phone call. Some clients get a weekly kind of recap email. Hey, this is what we've accomplished.
You have checks and balances.
We have, our team is phenomenal. And I don't want to take credit. Monique, my COO, does a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
Madison, our project coordinator, and our team, overall is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I think, I'm allowed to do things like this podcast during the day because I have that team. So I think, systems, processes, I'm a big believer in it. I probably wasn't for, the past, I've been in business 20 years. So probably 10 to 15 years, I was kind of just, oh yeah, that sounds good. Let's go for it, right?
Right.
But now we're very process driven.
There's nimble and adaptive, and then there's shiny object syndrome.
Exactly.
Right?
And I think too many small business owners
Sure.
are reactive.
Yes.
Okay, we're having a bad
And they
month.
see it working for somebody without actually, is this right for me?
Correct.
Yeah.
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 So I think,
So much.
being collaborative, being communicative, not having that shiny objects and doing the research, right? Like I had a potential client tell me that they talk to their competitors and they don't believe in online marketing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you're talking to your competitors. I didn't say it like that, but,
Yeah.
I'm like, we've been in business 20 years. Obviously, online marketing works.
Sure.
But as for my life, it's a little different.
Share.
I wish I could say I'm super organized in business. My personal life, maybe, my wife kind of keeps me in line. But I don't think I have, I do have goals. I do have goals. I try to set them once a year. I like your 90-day
Sprint.
90-day sprint. I do work with a business coach where every week I set 4 actionable goals. And I do complete them because I'm not putting goals that I can't complete. I'm putting goals that I can complete and need to be done.
Yeah.
So he keeps me in check with that. And, to be very honest, the goals I set for 2025 all have been achieved so far. So that's actually something we're going to be talking about is,
Sure.
okay, I need to set
You need
new
some
goals
big,
for
hairy,
this year.
audacious ones.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
I want to say that. How long have you been married?
5 years.
Okay, I'm coming up on 22.
Okay.
And one of the things people always ask us is, how have we been together this long? Because most of our friends, there was a period where all of us kind of got married within the 2 or 3 time frame. Yep. Like we were going to weddings like every freaking couple of weeks, right? And we were like, Jesus, every time we spit, it's like a wedding. And then suddenly at 10 years and 15 years, right, it completely was different. We were like one of maybe 2 or 3 couples still together. And we're extremely not only compatible, but happy. And I say that with all of the gratitude because it's not a given, right? We're very lucky. But one of the things that changed our marriage a couple of years ago, like complete like 180, was this concept of when you have a business, you set a mission, vision, strategic objectives for your business, and you talk about it, you stick it up on the wall, right? You talk about it at lunch, you invite people in to talk about it, you have a team meeting, you have a town hall. Like this thing has flyers, emailed about it.
Yep.
And this concept that I coach about is, what is your mission and vision for not only if you are married, your partner, but the core relationships in your life. And it floors people. What the heck is that about? And when I did it, maybe about, I would say 6-7 years ago, I don't know, I was startled because I had never given thought to who did Kevin and I want to be a decade from now? Who did we want to be as friends? Who did we want to be as, I volunteer on a lot of boards and he has his own thing. Like, who do we want to be for our children when they are college years? Or, I mean, it was just this beautiful kind of, this little Rubik's Cube that we had never tried to figure out before.
Yeah.
And it really puts you in a better state of being when you have that unlock with the stuff in business. And I think that's where, and I'll speak for myself, but I know a lot of the people I work with, you get to a certain point of success and stability in business, and then the home front is shaky and the relationship front is shaky. And you look around and you're like, man, I don't have good friends, or I don't have a good network, or if I have something happen to me, will my business be okay for 30 days? Mm-hmm. And so helping people think about that from a crisis leadership strategy perspective blows their mind, because we're not taught to think like that. And so in my sort of, redefining success, but also how do you live more authentically? How can you see some of these things, if you were to implement them, changing not only you as a human, but as a leader and a partner, right?
Listen, when, I mean, my wife is great. I'm better when she's me and her are on the same page,
Sure.
right? Like obviously, like when things are much better
It affects
in
your
business,
entire
100%.
Yeah.
And she knows this.
Yeah.
I love you, Anita. And I think something what you said about like, where do you see, you and your husband?
What's your vision for your relationship?
We're actually going through that now. We're setting some goals
You're
because
coming up on that 7-year.
yeah, we've been together since, I think 2017. And
That was a good year.
it was a good year. And, now we're just trying to figure out, okay, we have the business, we have the home, where do we want to be? Like you said, 10 years from now, what do we want to accomplish together? Because really the business is not that she doesn't support me but it's mine. It's my goals. It's my thing. She's starting a new career soon and that's going to be her thing. But what do we have together? Yeah. And, we're working on that. We're actually working on it together now. So it's exciting.
I want to offer you a reframe.
Okay.
For all of my businesses, I kind of said the same thing, that it was my business. And the day I invited him into our business, our family business, the day I invited him into a leadership role with me, not on paper, but you're sitting at home with a glass of wine and you're strategizing. Yeah. There was such a monumental freaking shift for me, just as a woman leader, a brown woman navigating some of these spaces. But men and women are so diabolically different. I don't care what people say, but having that complete testosterone-driven perspective, because I lead how I lead, and you lead how you lead. But having the person that knows you best, that is your how do I see around corners for the next step.
Okay. Hear that, Anita?
The day I said, this is our business, here's what I make, what I'm struggling with, what I need. And it wasn't, oh my God, come be my like COO. But I felt like this was my baby, but also my problem to deal with. Like I didn't want to bring that, And I don't know what about it made me feel that way. But the day I just stopped that, and I cried because I was like, it's ours, and that mental, and they say two great brains thinking and synergizing together makes a third magic brain. Our third magic brain for all of the things we want to do, with the exception of maybe navigating having teenagers.
That I don't have.
Nobody has broken the mold on that yet. It's really changed the game for us. And I don't know, I think that, share the baby.
She does help. Like
I know, but really inviting her into that pocket is really, and it makes her feel empowered. It makes you feel empowered, and we all need different things in our life. We need to feel significant. We need to feel community. We need to feel love and connection. Blah blah blah. And some part of being a part of, not just an observer to, the most important thing to you outside of her.
Yeah, really
is different. Yeah.
You're right.
So let's talk about community. We're both part of the chamber.
We are.
We both hit each other up, fist bump, at least 2 or 3 times a week. Talk to me about what community means to you and what it means for the leadership part of you.
Yeah.
And I know you've recently got selected to the board. I'll let you share that.
Yes. So I've lived in South Florida now for going on 13 years in April. And I think realistically, obviously it's turned into my home, but I was so tunnel vision with just trying to be in business and didn't realize the impact of the opportunities that the community has and how important the community is. I mean, we live in obviously a beautiful area, but a very affluential area. But there are a lot of people in need.
Sure.
And in a lot of different ways. So I think for me in 2019, I joined the Boca Chamber of Commerce. and I joined Leads Group 5. And
I'm also now a member of Leads Group.
yes, you are. Shout out to Leads Group 5. Stacey's going to be inviting all the people
right?
in. But I joined in 2019 and I just went to the Leads Group. I didn't do anything else.
Sure, really.
Really. And then about 2 years ago, they asked me to chair the group. And I said, I really don't want to chair the group. I am as extroverted
We're
as you might think
one-liners.
I'm not.
One line over
Yes,
into
one line
extrovert.
over.
That's
One
it.
line over. That's it. So I thought about it and I said, the group's been so good to me. I'm going to do it.
Yeah, take one.
I'm going to take, I'm going to do it.
volunteered as tribute.
I volunteered. And it kind of changed me. There's other things that happened. I became very friendly with the Nathansons, who pushed me to join a few other things. But I started really getting involved in the chamber and involved in the community and starting to meet a lot of people. And we do a lot. So we do work for downtown Rotary, Boca Raton Rotary Club, Spirit of Giving. I just got appointed to the board of directors for Boca School of Autism, which was amazing. I'm so excited to I have my first board meeting in April.
Woo!
So we're going to help them get the word out, get some,
Yes.
marketing going for them and communications. So we do a lot. Oh, and Binder Scholars. So like those that I just mentioned, we do a lot of things for, different types of things to just help. And I'm just passionate about all of them. Spare to Give In represents 117, I believe, different charities, which why wouldn't, I mean,
nonprofits,
I'm helping everyone at that point.
Yeah.
And then I do a lot with the chamber. Besides Leads Group 5, I'm an ambassador. I was on festival days at the committee. I believe I'll do it this year. I'm currently in leadership, Boca. It's amazing. Like I'm doing a lot of different things, and I am in Battle of the Bands this year to raise money for the Golden Bell Foundation.
I have thought about it, but my singing would shatter.
You don't have to sing. You think I'm gonna sing? I'm hoping they're gonna put me in the back, maybe drums or.
I kind of want to hit the bongo, you know.
I said the triangle.
What's the one?
Ding,
Yes.
The triangle.
But
ding.
there's also the little. I don't even know what it is. Okay. That's what I want to do.
So Chastity.
I will do that very
Chastity,
well.
if you are listening.
No Chastity. Abort mission.
Stacy might want to be in Battle of the Bands. Okay. It's a great cause, and
I love every time I see, and it builds such camaraderie.
Can I tell you something else? There's
family.
a lot of pressure on me. I don't think you realize this. So I
can imagine.
4 of my best friends
I can imagine
are winners. Samir Changela, Josh Kugler, Dan Nathanson, Mike Nathanson. They all won. There's a group text saying that if I don't win, they might disown me. They might disown me.
You know, I can't say I blame them.
So it's the pressure is on.
Tell me about so let me back up a little bit. Let's stay for 1 minute on community. I agree with you. I think, so I moved here from Maryland, did a lot of my socializing and so forth in Washington, D.C., did a stint in New York in my early years. So very much city life. And so moving here does feel, it's like this awkward suburbia with a city. Yeah. Right? And my immersion was, it still feels, DC still feels like home to me, like when I touched down. And I will say that joining these communities, especially in the last, I would say 2 or 3 years, has made an astounding difference, not only in my feeling of belonging here as part of the community, but you're absolutely right. The caliber of individuals that you meet, sort of heart-centered, really is something that sets, I think, this community apart from the ones I just talked about, where it was very transactional. And I think that there is a slow build to forging connection, finding your tribe, because not everybody is going to be, not everybody's going to be for you, and you're not going to be for everyone. And I think I want to touch a little bit on branding with you. I talk a lot about core values when we start coaching, and who are you? Like really getting down to the of who you are. And a part of it is what's your personal ethos and what's your personal brand. And for me, it's been a winding road because the first couple of decades in corporate was spent very much in the mission of the organization, right? Where you were. And then coming out of that was, okay, I had to remember, little Stacey, like growing up on an island, right? Like growing up with 53 cousins, like growing up, we didn't have running water. Like how does that impact not only the work I want to do, but to your point, the extracurricular heart activities. And so for me, it's really led me to like UN Women, Women's Foundation of Florida, and so forth. And I love kind of what you just said, because I want to highlight that we talk about leadership. And we spent kind of the first part of this talking about leadership in our jobs and in our life. But in the community, knowing your personal brand, like what really moves you. I love cats and dogs, but volunteering at the K9 something is not going to make me stay up till 11, 12, 1 a.m. working on a communications plan for them, pro bono.
Yeah.
It's not going to make me volunteer to be on the board of the board of directors like I was at UN Women, where we were helping women in Guatemala with domestic violence, right? Like, so I want to say when you think about branding, for me, when I think about branding, it starts from the inside out. And you are your brand. And when you filled out our little cool questionnaire, we talked about that word integrity. And I know that's super important to you. And I feel like that's one of the reasons I trust you, is because people that have integrity with me and I have integrity with trust you. And so by extension, you're amplifying this little web we have, which feels really safe, and there's a lot of vitality in it.
Yeah, I mean, that's incredible what you just said. So I think first off with the community, I think the integrity part is, I truly believe that it shouldn't be transactional.
No.
I truly believe that if I'm doing things and I'm helping build the community will continue to grow and be strong. And whether that's in networking at the chamber, or charity, philanthropy, whatever the case is, I truly believe if I'm doing my part as a human and I'm helping build the community, everybody will
A
grow.
rising tide lifts all boats.
Correct.
Yeah.
And one of the things is, our leads group at the chamber is, I mean, you're in it now and you've seen it's growing. I mean, I think we're up to like 35, 36 members. It's the biggest it's ever been. A lot of it has to do with I want it to grow so that people will grow with it. The same thing with Boca School of Autism. They're 2 years in. Deanna and Tara, who run the school, pretty much do everything. And if I can go in and alleviate some of their marketing and communications and help grow the school, they have room for more students. So how can I help the school grow to be a pillar in the community? Because if, again, the school grows and the chamber is growing and
a
all
trusted
these,
partner, right? Because autism is very prevalent right now.
Absolutely.
And schools are struggling in general, resources-wise.
Yeah.
I know a lot of moms, that is a point of so much heartbreak because they don't have the right resources, right?
And I just think if the community will grow, everybody in it will grow.
Yeah. To me, integrity, it's the end all be all. It's like the thing. And one of the concepts I talk about, and I want to get your take on this as a guy, as a leader, as a friend, I talk about having integrity with ourselves, because we will break promises to ourselves quicker than I can blink in a windstorm. And I talk about it in simple terms because it's easy to understand. A simple thing is, maybe you want to be more hydrated, but you don't drink water until like when you get home at night, you maybe have half a glass. A simple thing is, you want to be more fit. I think you cannot be successful without having fitness in your life. And it took me, just to be able to run at that pace, think at that pace, react at that pace. You've got to be vital and like performance ready. And that was the hardest thing for me because, man, I hate the gym. I hate working out. I like to read books,
too.
right?
Me too.
I want to watch music. I want to meditate and like sleep in a hammock. Like that's my vibe, right?
Yep.
So the thought of but guess what? Integrity with myself meant, okay, what's my brand? And I'm walking you through a story here, right? My brand is I grew up in an island. We had music everywhere. Like our blood has music in it. We're always dancing, always like lively and animated. And I was like, oh, what physical activity can I do that is lively and animated? Here comes Zumba. And I was like, oh my God, they're playing salsa and calypso. And I've done Zumba off and on in my younger years. But I tell you, I've gone maybe every other day in the last month.
Nice.
But my hips don't lie. I'm not cut out for this shit anymore. But I'm saying have the integrity with yourself means you know yourself, you understand your brand, your innermost workings, and you find the things in your little 90-day plan with your resources that gets you there quicker. Mm-hmm. What can you think in your life, like a Michael thing that you want to...
I'm going to copy you. So I hate the gym. I despise the gym.
Yeah.
And I don't know, a month or two ago, probably a month ago, I started leadership. Mm-hmm. And it's a full day. Like I'm going like 7 in the morning till 7 at
being
night.
In Italy, walking 17,000 steps.
It's a full day. So the next day was Thursday, and around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I hit a wall, like exhausted. Mm-hmm. And I said, something's wrong. And I don't work out. I mean, I'm going to be honest. So for the whole world to know, I hate the gym. I don't work out. Yeah. So called Dan Nathanson, buddy. And I said, let's go to the Y tomorrow. So we went to the YMCA. I got the 1 week membership and we started going every morning. And I talk about it. I fell off and I didn't join. So finally I joined the beginning of the month. And this Friday, I have my appointment to learn the e-gym. Okay? So I'm going to explain this to you. Okay? I am the type of person, I need a personal trainer. Yeah. Okay? And to be honest with you, it's, or I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
So the e-gym is the personal trainer without the personal trainer. You go in whenever you want on your own. You have a little wristband and the machine knows where it needs to calibrate, where you're at. You have one session with the trainer to do it all.
I have access to that at my new gym too.
It's amazing. So my thing is, if I want to wake up at 5 in the morning and go, I don't have to worry about anything. If I'm running, if I'm running late, I just go. I got my bracelet. I do my thing.
Well, I don't know your background, but if you want to meet me for some hardcore ass shaking Zumba, we can get.
Dan Nathanson, I'm gonna put the challenge out there. If Dan Nathanson will do Zumba, I'm in.
Oh my God, I love it. All right.
And I think he will, by the way.
So a couple of tips for those of you kind of wanting to explore ethical leadership and leading kind of with clarity and courage and conviction first, and then figuring out the pivot later, right? Making the hard right over the easy wrong. There may be a tendency to cut corners, right, for short-term gains. That's never going to work, especially in some of these communities that we've talked about and in building trust and having integrity. Walking the talk, not just talking the walk, right? The greatest test of leadership is not what you preach, but what you practice when no one's watching. Empowering others, not just elevating yourself. Ethical leadership is not about control. It's about creating a culture of accountability, your e-gym, inclusivity, and empowerment. And so building kind of trust isn't just a buzzword. It really, really is one of the key ingredients in peak performance, right? Having that integrity. I had so much fun with you. Tell people where they can find you in the world.
Oh, okay. So like websites,
yep,
social.
Yep.
Okay. So you can visit our website, win@ontarget.com or On Target Digital Marketing, whatever is easier for you to type in. Social media, On Target Digital Marketing. That's all our
Yeah.
symbols.
One, if you had, and I know you said you were a Star Wars fan. We didn't bring that up.
I'd say Marvel, Star Wars, sports.
My dog's name is Luke Skywalker. So
is
you
it
know
really?
it's Luke Skywalker.
Nice.
It's ridiculous.
That's incredible. My dog is named Oliver, named after Oliver Queen from the Green Arrow.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it. Thank you for your insights about business and personal life and growing and pivoting. I really appreciate you. For those of you tuning in, if today's episode resonated with you, here's what I want you to do. Share this episode with someone who needs it. Drop us a review. It helps more people find these types of conversations. And most importantly, start redefining success on your own terms. Because if you're still playing by someone else's rules, you're still stuck in the quo, and it's time to go beyond. See you next week. Thanks.
Thank you.
Michael.